The rain pounded relentlessly against the cracked windows of the small apartment in downtown Chicago, turning the late November evening into a gray blur. Elena Ramirez sat at the kitchen table, staring at the stack of bills piled like an accusing tower. The electricity notice blinked red. Final warning. Rent was 2 weeks overdue. And the fridge, when she opened it earlier, held nothing but half a jar of peanut butter, a few wilted carrots, and a carton of milk that had expired days ago. Her son, Lucas, 8 years old with wide brown eyes and a mop of curly hair, sat on the worn couch playing with his one remaining toy truck. He'd been quiet all evening, sensing the tension that hung heavier than the storm outside. Elena, a single mother since her husband walked out 3 years earlier, had lost her job at the factory when it closed suddenly. Temp work dried up with the holidays approaching, and food stamps barely covered basics. Tonight, there was no dinner. "Mommy, I'm hungry," Lucas said softly, not whining, just stating a fact as kids do. Elena's throat tightened. "I know, Mijo. We'll figure something out soon." She forced a smile, but inside, despair clawed at her. She'd already called every food pantry in the area. Lines were long, supplies low. Pride had kept her from begging friends, but tonight, pride felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. She grabbed her coat, an old thrift store find with a torn pocket, and her umbrella. "Come on, Lucas. Let's go for a walk. Maybe the rain will stop." They stepped out into the cold downpour, huddling under the umbrella as they walked the few blocks to the neighborhood diner, a place called Mama's Kitchen. Elena had no money, but sometimes the owner, an older woman named Rosa, would slip them leftovers if things were slow. It was a long shot, but better than sitting at home feeling helpless. The bell jingled as they entered, warm air and the smell of frying onions greeting them like an embrace. The diner was half empty, a few regulars at the counter, a truck driver in a booth. Rosa wasn't there tonight. A younger waitress, Maria, nodded at them. Elena guided Lucas to a corner booth, her cheeks burning with shame. She ordered 2 waters, pretending to study the menu she couldn't afford. Lucas pressed his face against the window, watching rain streak down. "Mommy, look, that man's staring at us." Elena glanced up. Across the diner sat a man in his mid-50s, dressed in a tailored overcoat and suit, tie loosened. He looked out of place among the diner's usual crowd. Successful, polished, with silver threading his dark hair and an expensive watch glinting under the fluorescent lights. He was eating alone, a half-finished plate of meatloaf in front of him. Their eyes met briefly. Elena looked away quickly, embarrassed. But the man, Alexander Thorne, CEO of a thriving logistics company, couldn't stop glancing over. He'd built his empire from nothing, starting as a delivery driver after immigrating from Mexico decades ago. He'd known hunger, known the sting of empty pockets and a child's pleading eyes. Seeing Elena and Lucas stirred memories he'd buried under boardrooms and bonuses. He signaled Maria. "What's their story?" he asked quietly. Maria shrugged. "Regular sometimes. Tough times, I think. She always orders water." Alexander nodded, a decision forming. He finished his meal, paid his bill, and as he stood to leave, he stopped at their booth. "Excuse me," he said in a calm, accented voice. "I couldn't help noticing. You look like you could use a good meal tonight." Elena's defenses rose immediately. "We're fine, thank you." But Lucas looked up hopefully. "I'm really hungry, sir." "Sir." Alexander smiled gently at the boy. "I know the feeling." He turned to Maria, who had approached. "Please bring them whatever they want. Full meals, dessert too. Put on my tab." Elena's eyes widened. "No, we can't." "Please," Alexander interrupted softly. "No strings. Just pay it forward someday when you can." Before she could protest further, he placed a business card on the table. "If you ever need anything, a job lead, whatever, call me." Then he was gone, coat collar up against the rain. Maria grinned. "What'll it be, folks?" "The special tonight is chicken soup and grilled cheese. Perfect for this weather." Lucas's face lit up. They ate, the best meal they'd had in months. Hot soup warming their bones, sandwiches crispy and melty, followed by slices of apple pie. Elena cried quietly into her napkin, relief washing over her like the rain outside. The next day, She called the number on the card. Alexander answered himself. Thorn Logistics. This is Elena Ramirez. From the diner last night. A pause, then warmth in his voice. Yes, Elena. How are you? She explained her situation. Laid off, struggling, skills in assembly and organization. Come in tomorrow, he said. We have openings in the warehouse. Good pay, benefits. It wasn't charity, it was opportunity. Elena started as a packer, proving herself quickly with her work ethic and attention to detail. Within a year, she was promoted to supervisor. The job came with health insurance, steady hours, and enough to move them into a better apartment. But Alexander's kindness didn't stop there. He mentored her informally, sharing books on business, encouraging night classes. You have potential, he'd say. Don't let circumstances define you. Inspired, Elena began helping others. She volunteered at the local food pantry, organized drives at work for families in need. When a co-worker faced eviction, Elena anonymously covered part of the rent, leaving a note. Pay it forward. Years passed. Lucas grew into a bright teenager, excelling in school thanks to the stability his mother provided. Elena earned her associate's degree, then a bachelor's in supply chain management, paid for partly by company scholarships Alexander quietly arranged. 15 years after that rainy night, Elena was vice president at Thorn Logistics, a key player in expanding the company's community outreach programs. They built partnerships with shelters, offered job training to single parents, and funded meal programs in schools. One evening, at the company's annual Holiday Gala, Alexander, now semi-retired, approached her with a smile. You've done incredible things here, Elena. She shook her head. It started with you. That one meal, it changed everything. He chuckled. No, you changed it. I just provided the spark. Later that night, Elena stood on the balcony overlooking the city lights, Lucas by her side, now a college freshman studying engineering. Mom, remember when we had nothing? She hugged him. I remember when a stranger chose kindness. And it rippled into all this. In the years that followed, the company's initiatives helped thousands. Jobs created, families stabilized, lives rebuilt. Elena often spoke at events, sharing her story, not of despair, but of the profound power in one act of compassion. Because sometimes, all it takes is one person seeing another struggle and deciding not to walk away. One meal, one chance, one ripple that touched countless lives.